it really should be called assembly. Mosaic is assembling something to create a whole. Montage means the assembly of pieces of film which, moved in rapid succession before the eye, create an idea.
Well, I have a great job, and I love being an editor because I get to see the movie from every perspective, and I don't know how many jobs there are that allow you to do that other than director.
Sometimes tend to start on sort of day 2 of the shoot. Day 1, of course, being the first day of filming, in which you may just be setting up your edit suite, and then potentially day 2 is the first day of rushes that you have available, and you're there with your team literally assembling the film as they're shooting.
I think great editing skill will protect a director from suicide.
It may not look like what you want it to look like, but your brain starts to understand how story works and how scenes are constructed and what you need as an editor.
One of those individual frames was important. Once you know that as an editor, now you get scared for a while. It's like, geez, you know, am I cutting here or am I cutting here? But then after a while, you start to realize that there's great power in that too.
Over the past century, technology has advanced dramatically in the media industry. Specifically in film and television, the ability we have to produce high-quality productions for the enjoyment of others is outstanding. It's even helped credit some of the most famous names in the industry who have expertise in all aspects of production, with the likes of BAFTA Awards and the Oscars shedding light on these experts in their specialisms. I'm going to talk about one specialism in particular, which is seen in my eyes as one of the most important in the industry to making a successful film or TV series: editing. The idea of editing has its forerunners. Flashbacks had existed in novels, and scene changes were already a part of live theatre, so what could be difficult about applying these into film? Well, according to Infoplease.com's article called A Brief History in Editing, filmmakers were afraid to edit film shots together because they assumed that cutting pieces of film and splicing shots together from different things would confuse audiences. 100 or so years down the line, it turns out they were very wrong. In early times, filmmakers quickly discovered that editing shots into a sequence not only helped the audience's sense of tale, but also enabled them to tell more complex stories. For example, one of the first films to use composite editing are The Great Train Robbery. Released in 1903, this 12-minute long film is considered a milestone in filmmaking due to its use of many then unconventional techniques, which also include on-location shooting and frequent camera movement. Early on in the times of editing film, the cuts were made using the camera. The camera operator would stop cranking immediately after the end of each shot and would start again on the next shot. This allowed special effects in films. Georges Méliès used many special effects in his time. One popular scene with special effects was where he would make a woman disappear. He would stop the shot immediately before removing a big cloth from around the woman, and then he would remove the actor and start recording again to make it look as if the character had disappeared. Some filmmakers chose to minimise the amount of editing in production, seeing it as the death of 1,000 cuts for realism. Although some documentarists saw editing as a way to make their work seem more interesting, others saw less manipulation in their work as a more authentic way to go. In other words, sometimes less is more. In the silent era, some American comedians like Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton relied on long takes in their sequences to show that there was no editing involved and that their stunts were in fact sometimes dangerously real. Some great films from the past that were very influential in editing include Citizen Kane. Robert Wise and Mark Robson's editing made this film a critic's choice for the best film ever. They used a lighting mix where a complex montage sequence is connected by related sounds. They also used flashbacks, flash-forwards, and transitory dissolves to show cuts in scenes. At the time, this specific scene quoted, "You buy a bag of peanuts in this town," would have taken great skill to mix the soundtracks together. The editors had used several sound elements to create the impression of distance in voice.
Buy a bag of peanuts in this town, you get a song written about you.
Good evening, Mr. Kane. There is a man. A certain man. And for the poor, you may be sure that he'll do all he can. Who is this one? His favorite son. Just by his action has attraction.
Another inspiring film is Alfred Hitchcock's psychological thriller called Psycho. The editing from George Tomasini turned the film into a masterpiece, earning it 4 Academy Award nominations. The famous shower scene in particular is a 45-second sequence that originated from 78 pieces of film. The different changes in perspective leaves a huge feeling of panic in the audience, which can certainly contribute to how amazing this scene really is.
A major Hollywood production shoots almost 200 hours of film. Unspooled, the film would stretch from LA to Vegas. An editor may work for months, even years, crafting this footage into a 2-hour movie. The finished film will contain thousands of shots, each measured in frames of 1/24th of a second.
For a writer, it's a word, all right? For a composer or a musician, it's a note, all right? For an editor and a filmmaker, it's the frames, all right? And you know, the 1 frame off or 2 frames added or 2 frames less is the difference between a sour note and a sweet note. Is the difference between clunky, clumsy crap, all right, and orgasmic rhythm.
In the modern era, editing has been taken over by the advanced technologies we have. Over the past 20 years, it has seen the rise of digital editing, which makes all kinds of editing so much quicker and easier. Editing film on video originated when film was transferred onto video for television viewing. Then filmmakers used video to edit their work as it was much quicker and less expensive than editing on film. Splicing video clips together was then taken over by computers using advanced graphics programs that could also perform special effects functions. One film that's been recognised for its amazing job with editing is Baby Driver. The film is the first where during production, the editor has been present on the set throughout the whole of filming. Baby Driver is about a talented young getaway driver who relies on the beat of his personal soundtrack to be the best in the game.
Why would I believe phones over here heard the goddamn word you said? He ain't even listening.
Baby? The target is an armored truck at Perimeter Trust in Dunwoody, 10 a.m. sharp. The switch car is ready, but you want me to hit the long stay parking structure and get a heist vehicle that stays colder longer? It needs to be ready for an 8:30 start. Questions?
When he meets the girl of his dreams, Baby sees a chance to ditch his criminal life and make a clean getaway. The idea that director Edgar Wright had in mind was to produce an action film set to the soundtrack of the main character's selection of mixtapes on his iPod. They had to arrange each sequence to the beat of the song to help the story work. Baby uses music to drown out his tinnitus in his ear. Every moment of his life is driven by music, the appropriate soundtrack for the right moment. Therefore, the world falls in sync with Baby's playlist, as everything is filtered through his point of view. There were some complications with this, as they discovered during one heist scene, the music did not match the timing of the sequence, and therefore it would run out of music before the sequence was finished. So on the last day of the shoot, they shot an insert of Baby where he got into the second vehicle heist and rewound the track on his iPod to keep the song going just long enough for the sequence to end at the same time as the song.
Oh, you mean Jason? No! Fuck. Let's go. Wait. I gotta start the song over. The fuck? Okay, go.
In Edgar Wright's movies, he and Maclist like to merge action and music together quite a lot, and it works in a way that the audience don't really notice until it is pointed out. In one particular scene named Tequila Gunfight, Maclist said that he and Edgar wanted every detail of action to be synchronised with the song. They had done similar work in movies with Simon Pegg, such as The World's End, but nothing as advanced as this.
Drinking beer, pubs. Shall we?
Edgar came up with this brilliant idea of why doesn't the, as per the character of Baby, and in fact the kind of whole undercurrent of the film, in which real life seems to magically synchronize to the music that Baby's listening to on his headphones. Why doesn't the gun battle happen to fall in to the exact beat of the drum solo? And so he designed this sequence with the stunt guys and our choreographer Ryan Heffington, that actually every shot fired by our characters and the gang in the scene all magically fit to the beat. So the bullet hits and the impacts and the firing are bang on time.
Fantastic. And your choice is?
Well, I'm gonna go with the picnic shoulder because I just love smoking pigs.
Films can also be completely ruined by the editing. Star Wars: A New Hope is known as one of the best sci-fi films in history, although it was at first a complete disaster. In 1977, George Lucas invited a group of friends to watch a rough cut of the original Star Wars film. One of George Lucas's friends said that the film made no sense at all.
According to Spielberg, this is how De Palma reacted.
Well, Brian went off the deep end. Wes, makes no sense. Nonsense.
The first act of the film consisted of unnecessary scene cuts from action scenes with the Empire to boring scenes with no meaning of Luke on an empty desert planet. It was bland and slowed down the pace of the film, leaving no excitement in the audience. There were also many problems with VFX, character voices like Darth Vader, and music.
Unfinished sound.
Bang! I want them alive!
And temp music.
Lucas's editor was immediately fired and 3 new editors were brought in. These here editors were Paul Hirsch, Richard Chew, and George Lucas's wife at the time, Marcia. Their job was to repair the first act of the film, cut loads of unnecessary material, and create tension and drama in places where there was none. The text at the start of the film was also extremely long, so this was rewritten and shortened to make more sense to the audience. At the start of the film, they removed the scenes of Luke that would cut between him and what was going on in space, and rearranged the order of scenes to create tension and mystery. By removing the scenes of Luke, it makes it look as if the droids are on an uninhabited desert planet with very little existence of life. By doing all of this, the film had been completely changed around, and even winning 6 Academy Awards, including Best Editing. Without making these changes, there may not have been any Star Wars franchise, and actors like Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill may not have been as popular as they are today. It's not just films that editors need to work on, it's all kinds of platforms like television and TV series. Sherlock is an amazing TV series based around the Victorian times novel of the Great Detective. It has been modernised to reflect on audiences of 21st century Britain. The series is visually interesting and is well known for its effective transitions that they use at any given moment they can. With transitions such as fades in and out, opacity changes, straight cuts, transitions over transitions, and the most common one they use called a pass-by effect. A pass-by effect transitions from one scene to another using a subject that moves from one side of the screen to another. They bring characteristics from both scenes into the cut, which makes it really interesting to watch. The editors also show text and other images across the screen during scenes to bring technology into the scene to show that this is 21st century Britain, and it shows just how much technology is evolving over time, just like the art of editing within film and TV. It's constantly getting better and more advanced. They also use on-screen text to show what's going on inside the mind of Sherlock. This allows the audience to participate in the scene and gives them more of an understanding of what is happening and how this great detective's mind works. The way music videos have been edited since they were first released on MTV has changed loads over the years. They started off as just live performances, where artists would perform with their instrument and sing the lyrics into the camera, occasionally with a crowd watching. However, Video Killed the Radio Star by the Buggles used a few special effects in their music video, including small explosions and changes of colour. This was the first music video that was released on MTV. That same year also saw the release of the Sugar Hill Gang's music video for Rapper's Delight. This music video was the first to ever be recorded in just one take, which proved back then that hip-hop was a genre that could battle with others. It was also still seen as live performance, as you had the artist holding a microphone as well as the DJ in the back with the decks. Fast forward 20 years and editing has evolved even further within the industry of television, film and music. In REM, Imitation of Life the music video, directed by Garth Jennings, takes place at a Los Angeles pool party where time unfolds and rewinds in short bursts. The entire video took 20 seconds to shoot, so what you're watching is a loop that goes forwards for 20 seconds, backwards for 20 seconds, forwards for 20 seconds and then backwards again for 20 seconds. With one camera, static, and then using a technique called pan and scan, moving in on certain parts of the entire picture, picking up various people within the frame. It's one of the most interesting music videos to watch, and as you look closely you will see people in the background doing the same actions again in other parts of the video.
You ready, yeah? Whoever wins this race is the fastest. No excuses.
No excuses, Daddy.
Now in an age where technology is all around us and is always evolving, music videos are also used to tell stories, and some go as far to be 15 minutes long to get the story across. One music video that very recently became popular for this is Shiro's Story by Rapman. It's a 3-part music video that tells the story of a drug dealer whose life is turned upside down due to his best friend and his girlfriend, as Shiro finds out that his daughter is actually his best friend's. The music video uses all sorts of camera techniques with prolonged shots to add to the drama that slowly unfolds, as well as everything that happens inside the music being shot in slow motion, to allow the audience to collect all of the information that is being fed to them, as the lyrics are narrating a story while the actors play their own part as the characters keep to the script with their dialogue. The 3-part short film or music video contains many plot twists, cliffhangers and secrets that will all unfold, and it's been quoted as a cult sensation that the artist is looking to get published onto Netflix or a similar broadcast site. Psychology of editing. Editing is really a way of manipulating an audience into making them see what you want them to see. You can take images that don't have a connection with each other, and then organise in post-production. You can manipulate the viewer's subconscious to make them understand and make sense of what they see. This is known as the Kuleshov effect. An important part of being an editor is knowing when to cut. If you have a subject and trying to show them within an object of interest, or you want the audience to know that this is important, hold that shot that focuses on the object for longer than other shots. This allows the audience's mind to think and realise that this is important. Knowing when to cut is also very important when it comes to gestures in film. You could have a sequence where you have a wide shot of your subject and they are performing an action, but you want there to be a bit more feeling to the shot, and so you cut to a close-up of your subject, but you do so while the action is happening. This is used all the time in films and TV, but we as an audience choose not to see it as we are busy processing what the subject is doing, rather than focusing on the cuts that the editor has chosen to make.
The cut is so smooth that it's barely noticeable.
Shot ordering is also very important. The general rules of film is to start with a wide shot and work your way into a close-up. This is bringing the audience in and allows them to process where your subject is and what is going on. This technique can be manipulated, and you can start with a close-up and work your way out to a wide shot to tell a story, and it also adds a bit of mystery to the sequence, as starting with a close-up can draw the audience in an instant and can make your mind ask questions like, where is this person and what are they doing? Furthermore, I believe that editing is the most important part of the film industry, as it allows you to create emotion-evoking masterpieces that allow our audience to be entertained, inspired, feel sympathy and empathy and excitement, all due to the art of editing. And with great imagination and talent from editors across the globe, new ideas, techniques and effects are being discovered all the time, and because of these new advanced technologies in the modern era of film, it is paving the way for new aspiring editors to carry on producing more entertaining and exciting productions for the world to see.